In the last video, we went over a potential reversal that was going on in the broader market for the dollar index, DXY that is, that could be confirmed relatively soon. In this video, we're going to be going over the continuation of that case and the confirmation it looks like that could be really solidified in, I mean, we did see some very significant things in the last 24 hours, but definitely coming in on Friday as well. So this is a continuation of that analysis, obviously. And other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. Let's just jump right into this one. Let's make it nice and short and sweet. Starting off right in over here with DXY, the dollar index. So first things first, this one, yes, has been up for about 11 weeks now, kind of working on week number 12. That is the maximum amount that we've ever seen it go to the upside consecutively ever in its history, which has happened basically two times, or kind of two times, definitely one time, second time, Anyways, in this case, we do see that there are several signs of, of this reversal really emerging now. So it is becoming more and more realized as we went from yesterday to today. That what I'm going to be focusing on in this video is, of course, hidden in this blue box territory right here. That is, the long-term sort of ceiling on this current price action at around the 101. Sorry, not 101, but 107.5 region, maybe even all the way up to 108. As we can highlight that region coming in from essentially the breakdown that we did see in November of 2022, when basically most markets were putting in, macro lows. In this case, retest those regions. All of the markets are significantly off those lows, which I do think, warrant some consideration, and we are getting signs of reversal now emerging from this. So yesterday, it was still kind of grinding up within this region right here. We said that's fine. Can do that a few more times. Can even still happen a few more times as well. Definitely fine. However, now we're starting to get divergent signals. So the daily RSI is starting to put in and paint in bearish divergence right there, as you can see. And we do see that the daily jewel is now getting a downside signature, which has been consistent for the past closure. Yeah, did confirm on last night's closure. Now about to get the second one, assuming that things close, here or lower later today. What I'd really like to see on this is the DMI color turn red as well. If that happens, that'd be a damn good indication that we're going to see this one pull back relatively significantly. Now, long term, it is difficult for me to get bearish on DXY. When I'm talking about long term, I mean, looking at like a monthly, for example. If we can actually load this chart, that'd be great. But who knows what the fucking internet's doing over here? Yeah, as you can see, longer term, monthly, quarterly, hard to hate that chart, to be fair. But in the more near term, does this one play out a weekly pullback? Very likely, yes. So with that in mind, I want to reference my notes over here, and yes, we can go over. Well, I should highlight that. Yes, this is kind of a weekly rejection, so relatively significant. And then also, as I search for my honey-stricken voice, if we go over here to stochastic momentum, we can see that on DXY, not only is it daily going to be turning down, which is what we highlighted over the past couple days, and we'll be continuing with downside momentum as long as DXY closes and remains below 106 and 75 cents. But if we go over here to the weekly, we can also see that this one will flip to the downside coming in for tomorrow night's closure on Friday, assuming that things remain below about 106, 64, 65 region. And again, coming in from a pretty critical region right here, the likes of which we have not seen since like May of 2022. So, it is significant, obviously. Anyways, as you can see, many things kind of turn it around in the background, and I suspect that, that next closure tomorrow night, if it is still below that 106 and 65 cent pivot or so, then yes, very likely we do start to see this one really, put in at least a medium-term reversal. Again, long-term, I hesitate to call this one bearish, but, the more medium-term, very likely pulls back, thus helping out the rest of the markets. In this case, we also were looking at a very likely bounce on SPY yesterday, or SPY futures, which we can go to over here. That was based off of several things. One of them was the daily 200 simple, just a very simplistic piece of analysis. That white moving average right there, tested it, after about 5 weeks to the downside. So, at least, like I said yesterday, very likely to bounce, and I suspect that it's going to continue to do the same thing right here. Maybe even a great place for a low as well. So, it doesn't necessarily have to go like that, obviously. In fact, that's extremely unlikely, but my internet just went out yet again, so else can you flip the switch? But perhaps, something like that maybe grinds out this area a little bit more, completely fine. So perhaps something like that. Of course, if we go over here to the weekly, which has now loaded, thank God. We can see the same thing coming off of a key move and average that green 55, and also the 50% retracement actually from basically where the low was on a monthly closing basis, that is, to the high of this current rally. So a nice and obvious bouncy bounce point. Doesn't mean that things can't break down later. Obviously, if things are truly bearish, they would. But this would be a great place for a bullish pullback to kind of bounce, grind it out sideways, and once again trade on to the upside. In the coming couple of months. Anyways, again, that's mostly based off of the statistics that we've gone over for Q4 of the years where we have seen, especially Bitcoin close September green, and then of course, the whole analysis with regards to pre-election years, putting in lows basically around like August, September, sometimes October, and then working their way higher for the next year. So in this case, that still seems like a pretty strong probability. At least price action's doing what you'd expect it to do if that is going to hold to fruition. So that is significant, I would say. Anyways, going over here to daily stochastic momentum. Not only are we going to see, SPY bounce off of that critical region, but we're also going to see the daily stochastic also sort of point to the upside here, assuming that closes today above 42.85 from a very, very critical region. The same sort of critical region that we did see more recently over here, as my voice cracks, which was preceding the August rally when price went from about 43.50 all the way up to 45.50 basically. So, pretty significant stuff right there. Again, as volatility kind of cools off, which what you would expect coming off the lows. So I'd be looking for this one to kind of grind it out sideways and up. Might even retest the lows a few more times, but now there's very obvious area or point of inflection or point of failure here, which is just the low of the week. So that is 42.35. Anyways, looks like my 42.30 region did not get hit, so that means that Krown is an idiot, and Krown should be hanged and tarred and feathered, and also lit on fire actually as well. Maybe not maybe not the last part though. That would be a terrible way to go. I really don't know too many more worse ways to go than just being like fucking lit on fire. Like Jesus, especially from like the feet up, So we don't need to get into that right now. Anyways, we'll end on this for Bitcoin. Just looking at the HPDR ranges. Yesterday we were looking at a likely bounce off of the 27, 200, 27, 300 region right here. That was based off of multiple things. One of them was a probabilistic setup with the HPDR indicator. Don't really have anything to update with that as of right now because, well, as you can see, things have bounced, but we have not reached a target nor reached any sort of invalidation just yet. But it was yet another bounce off of the long-term trend line, or relatively long-term trend line on the HPDRO. I did get word from Caretaker that he does intend to release this kind of soonish. So looking forward to that. We'll probably have more information on that maybe around the end of the month, something like that. Apologies, still got this damn cough. In the more short term, I do want to say that for Bitcoin, I actually do kind of expect to come maybe a little bit further down here, back down around, the lows of this week. Not anything super crazy. But of course, the bottom side of the current HPDR 50% range is $27,000. So, I would still be looking at $27,000 as a big area to be aware of. As long as Bitcoin's above 27, I look at this as kind of just a generally bullish consolidation before trying higher, namely back around 28.4, 28.5 region. If Bitcoin starts to lose $27,000, especially on a daily closing basis, that is the focus right here. I would be looking for things to come back down at least to $26,000 even, probably more so around mid 25s actually. So that would be significant, seeing as we don't really get major moves anymore ever. So that'd be a pretty big one. It'd be a pretty big one, as you can guess. But ultimately, as we have gone over in the past, the probabilities still do remain to the upside in the more near term. Again, with a key caveat that as long as Bitcoin is closing above $27,000 daily, specifically. But even at this point, 4 hour coming back down below there, it's going to start to look kind of nasty as well. So yes. Anyways, I think that is a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Just a continuation of this thread of analysis that we've been having for the past few days here, as we do start to see Dixie reverse, and traditional marks do so as well. Does that help out Bitcoin? The reality is that they haven't really been playing hand in hand for a while now. So I don't know, but it would seem maybe less so. But it makes for a good YouTube video title. So we're going to go with that. I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow for the big one, the weekly closure.